And our dreams are so intelligent in the symbols and images that it gives us, because it gives us like clues, like a scavenger hunt to find more information if we take the opportunity. And then it gives us more and more and more and more. And so the medicine that I needed was in the root of the plant. Valerian flower has historically been used as like a perfume. It smells nice, but the root is actually the medicine. And so if I had just seen a root in my dream, I wouldn't have known how to find what that was. But because I saw I'm getting chills, because I saw what it looked like and I smelled it viscerally, I was able to find the medicine that was looking for me.
To another episode of Expansion Lab podcast. Today we have a very special show talking about dreams. What did you dream? What do dreams mean? Like, it's so much about this subject that we don't know. We haven't had any show about dreams yet. And we have Melissa Haggerty, who is going to talk to us about dreams and how she got connected to this. Her story is super interesting. I actually know about her through a friend that was traveling in Sedona and got to know her. Melissa is an international teacher, is a medicine woman, and she's been using Reiki, herbs, dream work, mediumship as a way to help people find their happiest and healthiest life. You have lived and experienced it by yourself. Melissa, what are those dreams? What are dreams?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I was diagnosed with arthritis at the age of 12. And by the time I was about 22, I was practically bedridden. I was in pain, even not moving. And I called my doctor and I said, there must be something else you can do. And they said, nope, we're doing everything. And you know that saying, accept what you can't change, change what you can't accept. I thought there must be more to life than this. And I come from a long line of mediums who feel it's their misfortune to be mediums and bothered by the spirits. And so I was already kind of open to the idea that there are spirits around us all the time, although I kind of shut down that gift in childhood. And so at that point, I spoke out loud to the spirits that I knew were there. And I said, I'm going to heal myself and I need your help. And pretty soon after, the dreams started coming back. I mean, flooding back. And so like as a child, I had a lot of vivid dreams. I could even tell you some of them I remember. They were recurring. And I started to have nightmares for about a month, maybe a few months. And I consider that to be like clearing the pipes. When you go through a long period of not remembering your dreams, the Iroquois call people who don't remember their dreams the walking dead. So in other words, we're disconnected from our soul, from source, when we're not recalling our dreams. And so for a while, I had to go through nightmares and clear out all that stagnant energy. And then once that cleared, I started to receive really divine, prophetic dreams, giving me spiritual advice, telling me exactly what to do to heal in no uncertain terms. I would dream of doctors in a white coat in a white room saying, take this herb for this symptom in this form, in this dose for this long. Like, it was very clear. And the first herb that I dreamt of was valerian root. And that's one that helps with sleep and relaxation. And I was and still am an overthinker. So one of my issues was like insomnia. And I could share that dream if you want to get into it now.
Please do. Like, I'm here, I'm listening to you. I love it. And I'm like, I want to know what's the dream. Please tell us. Please tell me your story. What happened? What was your dream? How did you get here?
So one of the first herbs that came to me, actually the first, was valerian root. In the dream, I'm walking down some steps coming out of a house, and it's nighttime, and I see this tall flowering plant with white flowers in front of me. It's like taller than my head. And I'm like, wow. So I walk up to it and I pick one of the flowers off and I crush it between my fingers and I smell it. and the smell is like visceral, like I really smell it. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I need to Google what that was. And so I Google image search and I found the plant that it looked like, and it was valerian. And our dreams are so intelligent in the symbols and images that it gives us, because it gives us like clues, like a scavenger hunt to find more information if we take the opportunity. And then it gives us more and more and more and more. And so the medicine that I needed was in the root of the plant. Valerian flower has historically been used as like a perfume. It smells nice, but the root is actually the medicine. And so if I had just seen a root in my dream, I wouldn't have known how to find what that was. But because I saw I'm getting chills, because I saw what it looked like and I smelled it viscerally, I was able to find the medicine that was looking for me. And they're always wanting to work with us. I call them our helpers. So if we're open to it,
Are you talking about the herbs or are you talking about the dreams?
well, both. But I was talking about the herbs.
I love it.
And what's amazing is that, what I teach can help people in all areas of life. So people might say, well, I'm not going through a health crisis, or I don't really need any herbs. But you can use your dreams to answer all of life's questions. Intention is 90% of dream work. Is just intending to work with them and then honoring the dream once you receive it. And so for me, that looks like if I dream of an herb, I go get that herb and I work with it. Or sharing the dream like I am right now is another way to honor the dream and to receive more. Writing it down is another way. There are so many ways to improve recall. And then a lot of people say, well, I don't remember my dreams. And that's fine, because I call this right now the waking dream. And we can get these symbols and synchronicities in the waking dream just as easily as the sleeping dream. So they'll
What's the
work with
difference
us.
between the one and the other one? That's that's kind of interesting what you say, because right, what I understand for dreams, they're our unconscious mind, right? That's part of our unconscious. Well, that's what I read once maybe, and that's what I stay in my mind. The dreams come from anything that is unconscious, like meaning something that you are not aware fully, and you put it in the back of your mind, and then you go to sleep, and boom, you dream about that, or something
Mhm.
from, I don't know, but it was something that is storage there. So how did you mix one with the other one, the awakening with the sleeping part?
So there are different types of dreams. So the subconscious dreams, that's similar to what I called clearing the pipes. It's like if you've got a lot of trauma, stagnant emotions, things you're not looking at, your dreams are going to try and communicate that with you to get your attention so you can heal it. So that's one. But there's also prophetic dreams where you're literally seeing the future, or as some indigenous people would phrase it, you're creating the future. You're creating the waking dream and your sleeping dream once you get to a certain level of consciousness and awareness. So, yeah, and then there's those like divine guidance kind of dreams where an angel or like a being of higher consciousness comes into your dream to tell you something. So the to answer your question, the difference between the sleeping and waking dream, the deeper I get into dream work, the less I see a difference. Sometimes I call it Truman Show, if you've seen that movie.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm like, whoa, this is weird. And a lot of times, like, I'll walk into a place and a song about dreams is playing, and it really starts to trip me out. Like,
Well, I'm not gonna say as I get older, but that kind of I guess perspective, I heard it a lot, and I don't know if they come from the movies or something, that you start wondering, is this a dream? Like, do we live in a
yes,
dream? What is it really a dream? Like we're thinking that we know everything and we're kids, super cool, but maybe life is a dream. What is it? Maybe this is
yes,
a dream of another, like, stage. I don't know.
And this is the state of consciousness that like Buddha and Jesus achieved. And some people call it enlightenment. It's the awareness that you are the dreamer of the dream. Things aren't happening to you, you're creating them. You're
That's
either
crazy.
consciously creating them or you're unconsciously creating them. So I'll give you an example. I was feeling really guilty about something this morning, and somebody pointed it out. They commented on something in a way of like, you should feel guilty about this, you're not doing the right thing, right? And instead of what I used to do, which is like, oh, that person's mean, or they whatever, I'm like, oh, I must be really feeling guilty about that because it's showing up in my dream.
That's amazing.
So
You're like, yes,
it's it's not
your
the
waking
person.
dream.
Yes, it's showing up in my waking dream. So, okay. And then instead of becoming mad at that person and continuing to ignore these feelings that are festering in me, I go, oh, thank you so much to myself. Thank you so much for showing me that I have guilt that's unconscious. Now, thank God you've made it conscious for me as a character in my dream. And I'm a character in other people's dreams that I'm doing mirroring for them too. So that's and like I said, it starts to become more and more like, whoa, we're like really for realsies dreaming right now in the waking dream.
Going back to the story that you were diagnosed with arthritis,
Yes,
then you say, I'm going to help me heal. Then you
yes,
start having these dreams and you start dreaming with herbs, and they were
yes,
so vivid. And you are also connected to herbs, like you're a medicine woman, and you are an herb, you use herbs to connect and to use it. I see in your work, and you do a lot of teas and you talk about herbs and as a medicine. So what was the connection? I mean, did you actually heal through through those herbs, or did you find messages? What was the outcome?
So for me, it's been a process. Like I haven't reached the end stage of like being completely healed. And for me, I notice it goes through like ebbs and flows where I'll be like feeling really, really, really good. And then I'll have a flare again. And what I've noticed, so some of it was the herbs that got me feeling a lot better. And once my physical body was less in a state of distress, I was able to be more open spiritually to noticing other planes of where I needed to work. So basically, my body was flaring because my spirit had a lot of repressed emotions. But I didn't have the capacity to deal with that because I was so focused on my body, my body hurts. And so the herbs, the role they played for me was helping me to reduce the inflammation and relax enough to be able to then focus my energy on, okay, if I'm flaring, what's underneath here? Because the actual root is a belief about myself that I've done something wrong, I deserve to be punished, I'm punishing myself. There's other things like payoffs for being sick. Maybe since it started in childhood, for example, maybe I'll get attention for being sick. So I become conscious of all these things by desiring to become conscious. What really is it? Okay, is it that I feel like I get sympathy from it, from a flare? Is it that I finally can rest, ding ding ding, when I can't move?
Oh my God.
So yeah.
All that it makes sense, right? It's part of like, well, we're everything is a holistic thing. It's the spiritual part, but it's also what we eat, what we think, how we interact with people. It's like a full, like I guess a full package, right? If you go to a doctor now, they will say something different. It's like, oh, just biologically you are this and that, and you need this medicine, but I mean, they don't really look for the cause. And what I'm getting from what you're saying, you look from the cause and what it is, and there is a lot, and you've been working through it, like with the medicine, with the time that there was some trauma there. How did you actually start working about dreams? How do you make them so relevant in your life?
Yeah. So the dreams kept coming, and at first I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Like I didn't always immediately follow them. And then as they kept coming and kept coming, I'd be like, "Oh, well, I'm really curious about this." So, and it might have been reinforced in the waking dream. And this is how people can get it in the waking dream, where somebody might keep, or somebody's plural might keep saying, "You should really try this herb," or "You should really," and so I started to be like, okay, so I would start to work with it and I would feel better and I would get more dreams and more dreams. And then the spiritual guidance started coming in my dreams. And that's what really, and the prophetic dreams, and that's what really started to wake me up to like, that's like really weird. Like a couple days before, or I don't know the timing exactly, around the time COVID hit in Chicago, I had this dream that I was in a bus that dove off a cliff into a body of water. And as the water's filling the bus and sinking, somebody grabs my face and they say, "Stay calm." And then I go under. And I wake up like, and then COVID hit shortly after that. And I was like, oh my God, that's what it was talking about, because
Stay
everyone
calm.
was in a panic. Everyone's buying up all the toilet paper, acting like it's the end of the world. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to stay calm. And
That's
so I
amazing.
stayed calm because what else could I do? The dream told me to. And
Yeah.
it's so, like I said before about the plant, visceral. The grabbing of the face and the stick, it's like, it like
A
jolts
message
you.
like, listen.
Yes, it jolts you and it feels so real that it's like, and it's not lucid. So like a lucid dream is where you're aware that you're dreaming. For me, most of my dreams aren't lucid, and I actually prefer it that way because I feel like that can be a distraction. Like I'm using my dreams as a tool. I want to see it all the yuckiness that is creating suffering. Because if everything's coming from energy and from a thought, and the whole world is responding to your energy, then the pain in my body is responding to a thought. Any relationship upsets responding to thoughts. So I want to see it all and I want to heal it. And so I have many dreams where, like Holy Spirit will come to me and heal me, and it feels so real. And I feel like the healing going through my body. I started to work with psychedelics and ayahuasca in particular, just a couple of times.
Okay.
And this was after I already was dreaming. And that also like took me to another level of
I can
awareness.
imagine.
That really like blew my third eye open. And I was like hearing spirits during the experience. I left my body and I went back up to, I don't even know what to call it. It was like this council of like spirit guides. And I was like, why must I suffer? I was like so dramatic. And they were like, because you chose to. What are you talking about? Like, get back in there. Like, get back in the game. You got this. And they specifically said, you came here to feel and release and help others do the same. And that's exactly what I'm using my dreams for. But so after that experience, I started to get even more, spiritual guidance in the dreams because I was more open to it and could make more sense of it. And so I received one dream. I was very upset about it. Felt like my life was imploding. And ayahuasca can kind of do that to you. It really forces you to make changes in your life. And I got really upset, and I was already awake for the morning, but then I got really tired and I laid down and I fell asleep and had a dream. And it was almost like they as in my spirit guides like put me to sleep. I don't fall asleep very easily, and it was just like boom, I was asleep and I had this one of the most vivid, amazing dreams to date. I dream that I'm facing a mountain, a pretty small mountain, in front of my workplace. I had just started a new job and I was not happy. I kind of like forced it. I was like, I have to work this job because then I'll be like good enough for God, right? Like that's really the root of why we do anything. I just want to be good enough. I'm facing this mountain. I start to climb it, and all of a sudden I get blinded. I can't see. and I fall off the mountain and I splat onto the ground and I viscerally feel the oof on the ground. And all of a sudden, from this new vantage point on the ground, I can see there was another way around the mountain. People are walking around the mountain, and it's a longer path, but it's gentler. And so from behind me, I hear my spirit guide through a megaphone say, "There is only one universal truth. We are all one." And so I woke up from that dream and I was like, what the fudge? Like, I was in Chicago, so there wasn't really like a spiritual community. I didn't
You were
really,
not, yeah.
I didn't have like new age language or anything. And I had just done ayahuasca like twice. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
okay, we're all one. Like,
You asked her to drink. Wait a second. So how did you get to Sedona?
by fate, that involved
Wait
a
a
dream
second.
also.
So you dream about moving to Sedona? What happened?
So my son's father really wanted to move from Chicago. It was during COVID lockdown. Chicago was getting kind of weird. And I had just had a baby. So I was like, no, I'm not leaving. Although before I got pregnant, I was looking west as well. I was starting to apply to jobs in Los Angeles. I wasn't sure where, but I was like, I'm feeling called west. But so anyways, he suggested Sedona. I had never been. And we were having a hard time like agreeing on a place. And so finally I was like, okay, like let's decide on Sedona and let me ask for a dream. I was asking for a dream and I realized I had to choose, then I would get the dream
It was your
telling me
choice.
yes or no.
Yes.
So I said, I'm going to move to Sedona. If this is what's best for me, I need a sign and I need you to really like smack me in the face with it. I need it to be so obvious. So I go to sleep that night. I have a dream that someone hands me money and on it is written in big Sharpie letters, "This is your sign." And something to note as well, as I've gotten like more into like working with the dreams for guidance, is like a lot of the dreams are just your own consciousness speaking to you, just like waking synchronicities. So you can ask for a sign and you'll get it, but that might not be really like your highest path or highest potential.
How do you know it is the sign or is like your higher self? Like your higher conscious, right? Is that what you're saying? Were you talking?
Yeah, so like, and I didn't realize this at the time, but I've learned now that I can have a dream telling me to do something and then I do that thing and realize like, no, that was like a lower vibrational like timeline, if that makes sense. Like, so what I do now is I give all my dreams to Holy Spirit, which is the voice for God. And every night when I go to bed, I say, Holy Spirit, I give my dreams to you. What do you want me to know? And take everything that you're showing me. I want to see, like I said, I want to see all of it. So basically, how do I know the difference? It's in how I feel. Does it bring me peace or do I have anxiety? So I'll give you an example. I had a ton of student loan debt and it was like a bad deal on the loan, like variable interest rate. It was like not smart of me to have signed it, but hindsight, what can you do? So I asked for a dream, like, what do I do? And in the dream, I saw my wages getting garnished. And in the dream, my boss was like, your wages are getting garnished. Like, what's the deal? And I had anxiety that he like knew, but it was like, okay, like nothing really bad happened. And I woke up from that dream and I was like, surely there's a higher timeline. Like you're telling me that's like the best case scenario. And yes, when we are driving the car and playing the game, we're subject to the laws of karma. And so it was my karma to be saddled with debt for whatever reason. But when we give it over to a higher power, we're under no laws but God's. We're no longer under the laws of karma. It doesn't apply. Slate gets wiped clean. I had to make peace with the bank. Like I had this story, I had to let go of all my stories. I had this story about the bank that they were bad and greedy and da 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 da. No. I don't want that story anymore. How would you have me see this? They're friendly. They want to work with me. And then I had to give up the guilt of like, I got into this situation. I was stupid. Da, 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 da. No, I give.
That is like a rewiring yourself.
Yes,
And I really do think that the way when you kind of shift the mind and the thoughts about something specific, I mean, to say money or debt or whatever it is that you want to, I think there is a change in your reality and being
exactly.
dreams or being whatever it is that your reality is for you.
Exactly. And A Course in Miracles would say, like, the miracle is actually an undoing of anything that's blocking God's love, because God's love is always there. So that's our natural state. And we block it with these guilty feelings or these attacking thoughts of like, this entity, this bank is bad. And I'm just creating confirmation that they're bad by creating this like horrible situation. And
Okay.
so once I gave it up, and by the way, I was working with lawyers. I was trying to negotiate a settlement. They declined my settlement. Da, da, da. Once I did this mindset work, they come to me and offer me a settlement offer that's much lower than what I even offered them. Out of the blue, they came to me. And then I asked if they would knock even more money off of it, and they agreed. And it ended up being an angel number, like $111,000 or something. It was like crazy.
Wow.
And I was like, and that's what makes you think, like, wow, this is literally a dream. Like, this is literally all made up based on very real feelings.
That you actually manifest, I guess. So that would take us to the manifestation of dreams. Like, is it possible to manifest your dreams? How does it happen? Do you manifest your dreams or do you manifest your reality? I mean, I guess this is kind of like, well, for some people, like you're saying, maybe your reality is a dream too. So how does it happen?
Yeah. So some people would say we're creating in the sleeping dream and acting it out in the waking dream. You're always either consciously or unconsciously creating. So are always creating the sleeping and waking dream experience.
So when someone comes to you and say, Melissa, I have this dream, what does that mean? Would you interpret the dream based on what you think, or would you say, what do you think about this? And then based on the person point of view, you analyze the dream. Like,
So
let's say this is interesting, but I was reading about before we start this about the Cardion perspective, and it's like, what about if you dream with a snake? So what does it mean? What is the snake for you instead of like the collective? Even though it kind of, I don't know how I feel about it because I do believe in the collective conscious. So does it come from the collective perspective? Does it come from what you feel or you think about it?
So always the dreamer is the ultimate decider of what the dream means, because your dreams are working with your own symbols and associations. So somebody could have gotten bitten by a snake as a child and have an extreme fear of them. And for them, it means danger. I grew up in Chicago where we had non-threatening snakes, garter snakes, and I always thought like, oh, they're cute. And so for me, I actually had a lot of snake dreams around the time I was working with ayahuasca, and a lot of people associate snake with ayahuasca as like transformation. And I was always in awe of the snake in my dreams. I loved the snake in my dreams.
But there is also a huge belief, right, that the snake is wisdom and
Yes. And I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart, and I came here to transform. And so I think that the way it shows up for me is it shows my relationship with transformation. I love it. I'm happy to do it. I seek it out. Whereas somebody else might be totally afraid to transform. And then in that case, the snake bites them. What does that mean? It means the snake is wanting to share its energy with you. The energy of transformation, the energy of the primordial wisdom, the Ouroboros, the infinity. So when an animal bites you in a dream, it's wanting to share its energy with you. I don't know if you've heard that before. And I learned this from Robert Moss. He's a dream teacher. Is write down all of your associations with that symbol. So if you have like an odd dream about a snake eating a telephone or something, write all your associations with snake and all your associations with telephones. We use them to communicate. My grandma had a red one that I always really liked, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you might find that has something to do with this person's grandma based on their associations. Who knows?
I love it. Like I grew up in Venezuela and they're big believers of all kind of stuff, right? And so there was a belief like for your dreams that was like, if you dream that your teeth are falling, oh, somebody's going to die. If you dream that somebody's getting married, somebody's going to die. If you dream about a snake, it's dangerous coming. Like everything was like that. So I grew up believing that. Then I started my own life believing what I think is right. And I started interpreting my dreams. I have never been like dream expert, nothing like you are at all, but I understand my dreams. Like I'm not afraid of dreaming with a snake or dreaming like if my teeth fall off, I don't think that somebody's gonna die. I'm like, well, maybe it was because I have a pain here. Maybe like I don't know. I try to find a way that maybe accommodate me more than like I don't like to be in pain or scared or afraid of things. But it does click to me that it is a personal experience and any like you do identify or work with the person to see what is that dream may mean for that person, that archetype, that whatever it is based on their life experience. And so
Exactly.
through that, can you heal people? Can you help people? How do you help people with their dreams?
So a lot of how I help is by helping people reconnect with their dreams. Even just talking about it can make you remember again and just desiring to remember and work with them. Sometimes I do actually even help people in the dream world and receive messages for them in my own dreams.
But okay, so dreams, herbs, they're connected.
Yes. So how did I get into making teas and offering this? The formulas started to come to me in dreams. And what's funny is in the waking dream, even when I was little, people would always gift me tea. And it was so funny. I started to notice, like, why does everyone always give me tea? You know, like I like tea, but like I had this friend in college who gifted me this beautiful tea set. And I didn't even tell him I liked tea. And I was so confused, like, what? Like, what? And so, yeah, what you seek is always seeking you. But so I started to receive formulas in my dreams and I started to make products. So they want, and I'm just like a conduit of like, when I receive a formula in my dreams, I'm always telling people, if you want to make this at home, go ahead. I don't consider it my formula. I was just the one who downloaded it from the cloud.
Amazing.
It's available for the collective and it's medicine to help all of us. And I was just open enough to receive it.
How did you do to be that connected to your dreams, to the source, as a lot of people call it? You said that it comes from a family tradition, like everybody has it.
Yeah, so I come from an intuitive family where most of us have psychic abilities naturally, but you don't need to have that to dream like I do. Like so many people tell me like, I wish I could dream like you do. And I'm like, you can. You have to want it and ask for it and honor the dreams when you receive them. And that does take, how do I say, like hard work. Discipline is what I mean to say.
Intention. You talk about intention before.
Yes, intention in setting the dreams. So you can ask, like, what should I do about this situation? What's the highest timeline for me? But then, so like, this is how I use my dreams, is I get the options and I see how they feel. The feeling is key for dream interpretation. So like that debt dream, I asked for the highest timeline. And that was at that time, the highest timeline. But timelines are always changing because if you're always transforming and increasing your consciousness, then the options shift. So I've started to be taught more about timelines in my dreams and how they work. And that basically, like, if XYZ happens, this happens, or you could choose. I'm told, like, you could choose this timeline and you'd be happier. Like, I was told, if I moved to Hawaii, I would be happier, and that it was a timeline option for me. But it's like the way my guides work, they kind of know what I'm already going to choose. I'm Capricorn. I'm a little stubborn, and I'm already here, and you know this
Yes.
is kind of where I'm staying put for now. But so I figure out my options and then make decisions in the waking dream. So I'll have a dream that's like, oh, that felt really good to talk to that person or to make that decision or to make that tea blend. Okay, like I've been having a lot of dreams about Taos, New Mexico, and then I'm supposed to move there also. See, timelines. I could move to Hawaii, I could move to Taos, I could stay put. That's three options right there.
So your decision is gonna determine what timeline you go?
Yes, but here's the really interesting thing is in one of the dreams where I was being taught about timelines, they said, yeah, you could go to Hawaii and you'd be happier, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to meet the same archetypes and learn the same lessons
In
anyways.
either one.
Wherever you are, you're gonna learn the same things, you're gonna meet the same kinds of people. What I've started to notice is like everyone reminds me of someone, almost everyone reminds me of someone, and it's because we're working with these same archetypes. So wherever you go, you're gonna still learn your lessons, meet the same kind of contracts, soul
Right, you're gonna go
connections.
through whatever you have to go through, right? So
Yeah,
that would be like destiny, I guess.
right. I know.
So talk to me about Sedona. I'm curious. I never lived in Sedona. I'm in Phoenix, so it's pretty close, and we go very often to Flagstaff. But I do love Sedona. I always wonder how it's living there, like how's experience, you know?
Yeah, for me, like they say the vortex, um, basically takes away everything that's not in alignment. I definitely felt like it did that. So
Right.
shortly after I moved here, like in a matter of 3 months, I separated from my son's father. So like we were together when we moved here, and Sedona, people say it does that with relationships specifically. It either brings you closer together or it pulls you apart if you're not right for each other. Yes, and then it was like we were like breaking up in the process. It was a little more drawn out because we had a child and we were living together, so it wasn't as clean of a break. But then it was like our landlords were like, "We're selling the house. You have 30 days to move out." And I was like, "I'm being vortexed right now."
Right, but it was perfect because you needed to separate anyway.
Exactly. So it's not necessarily bad because it's like for your own good, but it
Exactly.
can definitely be jarring. And I definitely agree with what people say where the vortex either draws you in or it boots you. So I was living in Rimrock when I first moved here, which is just outside of Sedona because I couldn't find a place in Sedona. And that's often what happens if you're like not called here. You have a hard time finding housing. And so what I did was I prayed to the mountains and I said, if you make space for me in Sedona, I will not turn away anyone who asks my help for healing. And I sincerely meant that and I made good on that promise. That night, a house opened up on Zillow. I called. He said, you could come see it right now. I went to see it right then. I took the house, and this is the house I'm living in right now.
Oh my gosh, I got chill.
Yes. And this was like weeks and weeks of looking, nothing, nothing, nothing. I made that prayer, bam. That's how the mountains here, they're like an entity. They're like a person. They work with, wow. Yeah, I have that feeling you're talking about. I have that in Taos, New Mexico. And that vortex, people say that's a vortex also. It is calling me. Like Sedona never called me. I came kicking and screaming from Chicago. I was like, fine. I guess. But Taos is really calling me. And you know what's funny is, so I asked my dreams, how can I speed up the timeline of meeting my soulmate husband? Because I feel like I'm
Is
ready. I've
it
been doing.
possible though to speed it up? Like, or isn't it supposed to have its own cost?
Let me back up to explain why I said speed up. So I had
Okay.
a dream about him, and he said, it's going to be a crazy 5 years. That's all he said to me in the dream. And this was 2 years ago. And at first I thought, oh no, are we only going to be together for 5 years? Then as time went on, I started to realize I'm not going to meet him for 5 years. And so I'm like, 3 more years? Like, I
You're
cannot,
like, I want
like,
like,
I'm like, please God, I
is it
cannot
possible
do
to meet him
another.
now?
I'm like, I cannot do another situationship. Like, I'm tapped out. And so I just asked, I said, not in a forcing way, but I said, if there's anything I can do to speed up the timeline of meeting him, I want to know. So I start dreaming of Taos, 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 Taos. And then my house in Sedona in the waking dream floods. Whose house in the desert floods multiple times? Leaks, floods. And I thought I was going to have to move. I was like, oh my God, this house is like falling apart literally. And then I asked what to do in the dream. Am I supposed to move? What's happening with my house? And then in the dreams, I get a dream. Somebody tells me, you must buy this property in Taos. They show me the property.
No way.
It's very clear. I mean, my dreams are in no uncertain terms. They tell me, you must do this. And normally, actually, they give me the option. They say, it doesn't matter. You could do this, you could do that. You're going to be happier doing this. This one, it was, you must
So
buy
you're
this
moving to
condo.
town.
And I resisted. I was like, oh no, I don't want to move. My friends are here. I'm happy here. I just got settled here after like being so upset to leave Chicago. And the dreams kept coming. People were telling me in the dreams, just go to town. Like, they're like yelling.
For how long have you been in Sedona?
I'm coming up on my 3rd year in August. And usually people say like at the 2 to 3 year mark, and actually I had a dream about this, that the vortex boots you again. Because it's like, all right, you got what you came here for. Some people, yes, it boots you when you've gotten what you came for. Some people, I mean, I have a lot of friends who've been here for like 10 years, but they end up in what I've noticed is they end up kind of living on the outskirts, outer towns, because it is really intense to live in Sedona proper. And I'm not even in Sedona proper. I'm in the village of Oak Creek. It's unincorporated Sedona. People say like the indigenous people would come into town for ceremony. And there's a saying people say Sedona makes the white man crazy because you're not supposed to live in the vortex for that long.
Tell me very quick about your alien dreams, please.
So I've had a few dreams where they're like wearing human suits. It doesn't look like a suit. They look like normal humans, but I know they're wearing a suit. And they're like my bosses in some of the dreams. And they're like, why aren't you doing your work? Like, what's your deal? It's so funny. Yeah, I had one where I was at this party in Sedona in the dream. And this was full on dream, not just the in between. And I'm making small talk with this random guy at the party. And then he goes, basically like, let's cut the crap. I want to take you up into this spaceship. And I look up and I see like a UFO. And I get scared. I don't say anything, but I get scared. And he goes, you're only afraid because you don't know what it's like up there. And I decide like he feels trustworthy. So I say, okay, I'll go. And then I wake up out of the dream and my ears are ringing so loud. And that's my sign that like a spirit is near and wanting to communicate is when my ears ring. And sometimes that happens to me when I wake up in the middle of the night, actually often. And so I hear the ringing and I go, I'm not ready.
You're like, no, never mind. Thank you. See
Do
you
not
later.
wake me up right now. I've had so many dreams where the friends point out UFOs, and I've had things where I'm like, oh, that kind of seems like a UFO. Like, especially living in Rim Rock, it's like on the edge, literally Rim Rock on the edge of a cliff. And so I had like a really wide view, like I could see the red rocks from a distance, and I felt like I would often see them out there, but never like you never know, is it a satellite? And for me, I don't care because I get them so clearly in the dreams. Like I know like they're real and they can communicate. So like UFOs don't like phase me or like excite me because I'm like, yeah, of course they're there. Like
Yeah. You're like, sure. To me, they do excite me a lot, but I've been going through like all these kind of beliefs about UFOs. I mean, I'll say aliens more than UFOs, right? I think that my belief now is like there are so many kind of creatures in the world, and including them, people from other planets, and they live. But what I don't know, I don't know, and that's my doubt here, that when I think about it, is it like an energy level? Is it like what we were talking about, the lines, right? Is it in another line of conscious? Is it in the same?
just higher consciousness and like
Exactly.
when you're vibrating at a higher consciousness, you can dip down into the 3D. Like 3D isn't bad, it's just physical. So, you know, people can experience apparitions of a spirit, like Mother Mary, for example, where you can literally see her, touch her, and even just like an average person who crossed over, people report, you know, being touched by spirits or whatever. And that's because they're dipping back into 3D, but they might not sustain it if their baseline is like a higher vibrational consciousness.
Anything else, Melissa? This has been a very cool conversation that I'm gonna have to edit. But a lot of subjects here, and a lot of subjects that we didn't like. We could talk a lot more probably about aliens and about herbs, I think. But anything else about dreams?
Yeah, no, I think this is a good point to leave it at for now. Maybe we need a part two because I haven't even gotten to the religious visitation.
Yes, I hear you when I said that you're very religious. Anything that you want to tell people about dreams that you haven't said?
It's like having the cheat codes to life, and we have theoretically about 5 opportunities to enter into REM every night. That's 5 opportunities to receive profound spiritual guidance. So why not? Why not open
That's
up
right.
to it?
That's right. All right, my friend, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, we'll chat. Very nice
Gracias.
conversation.
Thank you. Peace.